So Keith, tell me what the mission of Docusign is.
Well, the mission is simple. It's to enable anyone to transact anything, anytime, anywhere, on any device, securely.
And why is that important to the world?
It's changed the way business is done. It simplifies people's lives. It increases the velocity of business. And it also now, with the Docusign Global Trust Network, with over 400,000 companies, 300 million unique users, is a safe, secure way to transact worldwide.
So you're a public company now. Congratulations on that. You have shareholders, you have employees, you have the communities you operate in, and you have your obligations to society. How do you weigh those?
I think focused on our overall mission, right? And that is to transform people's lives in many different ways. So for our shareholders, obviously it is to focus on continuing to be the standard, but at the end of the day, it's all about our customers, and we measure our success by our customers' success.
The nature of leadership has changed. You know, the public perception of business is not what it once was. Trust is down significantly. You have all these polls that show among millennials in particular, there's skepticism about capitalism and whether it actually does good for the world. Does that put a different burden on you as a leader in the modern era?
I think these days it's all about being a transformational leader. And to me, transformation means one word. It means change. And without change, we don't develop or prosper or grow.
Do you feel like there's a greater burden on you today to address social problems than there has been on business in the past for a variety of reasons, and maybe in part because government isn't being very successful at addressing?
I think there is. So 22 years ago, when we formed Ariba, and 19 years ago when we took it public, it's like, well, should we put some money or some stock aside for a foundation? And back then, it was my belief that, that just wouldn't be right for the shareholders.
You're taking the money away from them.
You're taking money away from the shareholders.
Why isn't that true? You've got shareholders now.
Well, it was interesting because I raised that same issue a number of years ago before we started the Docusign Foundation. And it was a crystal clear consensus, not only from our employees, but also from our board and our investors. So I think times have changed, and it's actually one of the things that our Docu family loves about Docusign, and we've extended that to our partners, our 250 advisory board members. So it's actually part of the mission. And by the way, we're transforming those charitable causes with Docusign. For example, we've enabled 5 million special athletes at the Special Olympics because they need a medical permission slip before they can participate in an event. And if they don't have that, they can't participate. From time to time, they lose that piece of paper, but they always have their phone.
And you do that free of charge?
We do. And we also go in there and help with our services as well. Now, we don't do it free of charge all the time, but it's a significant discount. It's really providing that value.
Keith, let me ask you a broader question. Do you think we're facing a crisis of capitalism?
I don't think so. I think we're under significant threat in terms of China Inc. Because they're challenging our democracies everywhere.
And our values.
And our values. And if you want to run a country like a company, China's a great example. When we were there, we could see it. It was crystal clear. They're very aligned. They have the luxury of being able to play the long game. But I prefer our freedoms.
But do you think that's part of what's that competition from China is part of what's putting pressure on business to prove its value to society?
I think it is, and I think it's a challenge that the United States is up for, and we can't go it alone. That's why with our allies it's absolutely critical. And as you know, China has 30 million new people entering the workforce every year. They have over 300 million college-educated folks. They're focused on productivity and innovation, and the only way to compete with China is to outpace the Chinese tiger.
So it really is a competition of worldviews and ideologies that we're in the middle of right now.
I believe it is, and they're obviously a great trading partner, reciprocal both ways. So, so how do you manage that process? I think is absolutely critical. And how do you raise the tide for all ships, but at the same time do it in a fair way?
Keith, what's the single greatest threat that's facing the future of Docusign?
I think it is ourselves. You know, we've been able to become the global standard. I think complacency is always that threat. You know, it's success can breed that sometimes. So I think it's to continue to challenge that. I mean, obviously there's been wealth creation for our investors, but the challenge is to keep going with that noble mission, and to, you know, continue to measure our results by our customers' results and do good for the world.
Well put. Keith, thanks for being here, and thanks for being part of the CEO initiative.
Thanks so much, Alan.